Oh boy, so you might have noticed that a lot of people are talking about bears right now. There hasn't been an uptick in interest in nature documentaries, and no, they're not talking about that stressful cooking show featuring the tragic little chef with big sad blue eyes. About a month or so ago, a hypothetical was presented in a street interview and started to be shared around social media. Would you rather be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
Would you rather be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
And almost unanimously, women everywhere have answered that they would prefer the bear.
Bear. With a bear.
Bear. Probably a bear.
Definitely a bear.
A bear.
The response to this, of course, has been for men to initiate a thoughtful discussion about the topic.
I never hit a woman violently.
You should expect an encounter with slippery skin soon enough.
No one said anything about serial killers. Nobody said anything about Jeffrey Dahmer.
Would I rather my mom be in the woods with a guy or a creature that would hunt her, jump up, grab her by the face, chomp down, cause her to have to take her thumb, jab it into its eyes?
So, let's talk about it. Just a quick warning up top, we are going to be getting into some pretty dark territory here. While I'll be doing my best to stay within YouTube's guidelines, I'm going to have to cover some upsetting material. So I thought, maybe we could lighten the mood a little bit. Roar. This costume is extraordinarily hot. I already regret this decision, but I'm committed. Now, am I potentially going to make a few people upset with this video? Do I in the woods? Yes, but I think this conversation is very important, so if you are someone who got angry the moment you saw the thumbnail, then I would just ask that you bear with me and watch till the end of the video. Okay? Okay, let's start off by clarifying some things, because despite the fact that this hypothetical is extremely simple, there seems to be a lot of people unintentionally, and perhaps intentionally, misunderstanding it. First off, you don't get to choose the man you're stuck in the woods with, like this charming fellow whose favorite Pop-Tart flavor is cinnamon. Apparently. That would obviously destroy the whole point of the hypothetical. If it's a choice between a bear or, say, Bear Grylls, I'm choosing the survivalist who will return my happy ass back to its natural habitat, sitting in front of my computer, playing Fallout 4 again, because the only type of light that should be touching this delicate skin is blue. This debate has quickly devolved into one side presenting statistics, personal testimonies, and criminal cases, while the other side taps the heels of their red pill slippers together, screaming, "Not all men, not all men, not all men," with their fingers jammed in their ears. Ooh, it's a random manga panel with barely legible text. I'll be here all week. I'm sure I'm about to read something intellectually stimulating. Remember, it's man or bear, not fist or bear. Hey, quick question, weeb. Who's doing all the assaults then? Because as we've mentioned on this channel before, according to the NSVRC, 1 in 5 women has experienced assault or attempted assault during her lifetime. That's millions of women, and unless they're all being harassed by Diddler Dave, who is skewing the statistics with his incredible efficiency, mathematically speaking, there must be a non-trivial amount of men committing this type of crime. How these MFers feel after making all men feel like they are rapists. Hey bud, you see how these two things are not the same? Isn't it so cool how they are not the same? But since we don't want men to feel bad about themselves, please tell us which ones women should avoid. Do they walk differently than other men? Talk differently? What kind of shoes do they wear? Look, imagine you're at a party. I know, just suspend your disbelief. Imagine you're at a party and somebody walks in with a bowl of M&Ms. Super lazy for a potluck, but whatever. Now imagine you knew that some of these M&Ms were poisoned. Would you take that risk? I mean, come on, they're not all poisoned. What are you, some kind of freak who prefers Skittles? That's the position that women are put in whenever they interact with a man. They have to just put their hand in that bowl and hope for the best. So I'm as bad as any serial killers now. Aw, I'm sorry you came to that completely unrelated and self-centered conclusion. That must be really hard for you. But don't feel too bad for him though, because if you make the mistake of defending pity parties like this one, you might just make yourself a target, like this minor running a Star Wars meme account who said that she would choose the man, and then was immediately overwhelmed by hordes of freaks commenting graphic descriptions of what they would do to her as a reward. Great job, fellas. This is so dumb. If the man is my husband or dad, brother, best friend, he would kill himself protecting you. Not sure what kind of men you guys know. Interesting, irrelevant factoid, Helen. Too bad I don't get to choose your heroic family members and or friends in this scenario. For your information, the kind of men I know are frankly epic, and I love to hang out with them because they laugh at my jokes. But they're also just kind people who are sympathetic and understanding when I bring up women's issues, instead of blowing a blood vessel trying to defend their honor.
I ain't never hit a woman violently. I ain't never put a violent hand on a woman. I ain't never assaulted a woman. No, none of that. Ever.
Wow, man, that's super cool. Should we throw a party? Should we invite the Dalai Lama?
The hypothetical is, would you rather encounter the average adult human male in the woods when you are alone, or a bear? No one said anything about serial killers. Nobody said anything about Jeffrey Dahmer. Stop changing the hypothetical.
Wrong. You were the one changing the hypothetical. The man in the forest could be any man, from the most dangerous, perverted sicko that's ever roamed the streets to a Ned Flanders-esque fatherly figure holding an impossibly delicious mug of hot chocolate. I feel like I'm going insane. It's a random man or a random bear. So questions like, what if the man is nice? What if the man is me? What if I have a gun? What if the man is gay? What if the bear is gay? Are completely irrelevant. The bear is gay, though. Instead of trying to understand why women might feel unsafe around men, many men have decided that women are simply uninformed about the dangers of bear attacks and have taken it upon themselves to educate them.
My mom got mauled by a bear. Here's a book she wrote about it. Here's a better look. So even though the question's not really in good faith, probably, I have some experience with this question.
Just because women are answering a question in a way that makes you personally uncomfortable doesn't mean that the question was asked in bad faith. Now, after going over the details of his mother's injuries, which she thankfully survived, he concludes with this.
So if you're asked this question and you take more than a second to come up with the same species as your answer, then honestly, I'm grateful that you've lived such a privileged life that your answer is the bear.
Interesting. I wonder, would you call Junka Furuta privileged? How about 12-year-old Kimberly Leach? Was she privileged? You know what? I think I'm gonna have to read your mom's book because the details just really aren't adding up for me. You see, I know that bear, it's a good friend of mine, and it's never attacked me. I mean, what was your mom wearing? Are you sure she didn't want the bear to attack her?
It don't sound like that lady wanted to choose the bear. It sounded like she wanted to choose the man instead.
Whoa, wait. You're telling me that bears are apex predators? That they're not cuddly rainbow friends that solve problems with the magic of kindness? That they don't make marmalade sandwiches and talk in British accents? Gulp. What am I gonna do now?
Fellas, would you rather be stuck in the woods with a woman or a bear? Let me know, because I think, you know what? I think I would rather choose the bear. Because at least with the bear's not gonna just date me for my money and in the divorce take half my stuff or more.
The worst possible thing you could think of a woman doing to you is dipping into your bank account, dude? I've seen so many men try to reverse the bear versus man hypothetical to air out their petty grievances with women, only to inadvertently reveal what a different reality they live in, largely unaffected by the day-to-day precautions women must take for their own safety. I shouldn't have to say this, but being nagged or your ex-wife boinking your buddies is not comparable to being attacked by a bear. I think this comment is the perfect response to all the bear-splaining. Worst case scenario, the bear would just kill me. Choosing the bear over the man comes down to a very logical comparison of possible outcomes. The bear is an animal operating off of instinct. You've invaded its home, and if it responds with aggression, it's doing so to either defend or feed itself. A man, however, is capable of prolonged, excruciating, and degrading forms of torture, requiring a level of creativity and hatred that an animal simply could not comprehend. The man understands your screams for help, knows what he's doing is wrong, but continues anyways, not out of necessity, but pleasure. It's that situation that is so horrifying that women would choose being mauled to death by a bear to avoid it. Though what both men and women don't know is that it's actually the crystallized honey epidemic ravaging local bear populations that they should be worried about. As often happens in these situations, men have suddenly decided to elevate a concern that they seem to only be interested in when it serves to silence discussions of women's safety. That is, of course, male victims of female perpetrators. I accidentally tasted the marker. Alright guys, let's make a circle representing all men and a circle representing all women. Haha, boobs. I'm trying, guys. I'm really trying. Now let's make another circle in red representing, well, you get the idea. You see how a lot of that circle is on the men's side? Not all, because you can still believe and support male victims while acknowledging the basic reality that an overwhelming majority of people who commit this type of abuse are men. Isn't it crazy how you can care about both these things at the same time? For any man out there who has been victimized by a woman, I wish nothing but healing for you. But men and little boys aren't considered spoils of war for women to violate by the millions after achieving victory in a conflict instigated and carried out by women. There are no countries where little boys are habitually married off to aging women collecting young males for their harems. There are no places where men are advised to only travel with a female chaperone lest they be attacked in the night by dangerous women. There isn't legislation for digital cameras and smartphones to make an audible shutter noise when taking a picture because women just couldn't stop themselves from taking pictures down men's pants on public transportation. I am enthusiastically in support of any awareness raised for male victims that challenges the patriarchal demand that men stoically suffer their trauma in silence. Baby Reindeer is a recent piece of media that does an excellent job of this, but if you're someone who only mentions their experiences or the experiences of others to weaponize against women, I have to question your motivations. A lot of people have been saying that this hypothetical was only created to make men look bad and stoke unnecessary controversy, which is a convenient thing to believe if you are unaffected by the reality represented by the hypothetical. I'm sure back in the day when men would come home from work and their wives were yapping about having the right to vote, they would have preferred their steak dinner be uninterrupted by such divisive ideas. In response to realizing just how afraid women are of being attacked by men, men have done everything in their power over the past few weeks to reassure them that they made the right choice. For instance, drawing graphic images of women being torn apart by bears, posting videos of bears eating their prey, and joking about it being a woman instead. Making up scenarios where they're armed and capable of defending a woman from a bear, but choose not to punish her for being a feminist, using a clip of Pedro Pascal of all people. How dare you invoke his image in vain?
Slippery skin. This unknown entity has been spotted in many places, with recent sightings primarily in the forest. Further research has shown that slippery skin is likely to attack people who would rather encounter a bear than a man in the woods. To increase your chances of safety, we advise against expressing such preferences near forested areas.
Your response to women saying that they would feel unsafe alone in the woods with a strange man was to make an AI-generated video of a monster that hunts them down. Wow, how very cool and normal of you. You definitely seem like the type of guy a woman would feel safe in the woods with.
What men are out there saying how much they want to be violent with women who pick the bear?
As it turns out, a lot of them. Here's some fun examples. In response to a woman saying she would choose the bear, thanks, I'm into so I'll to yours. Or this one that digs a real stinker out of the old 4chan lexicon. Boyd, when I am done with you, you will beg for the bear. I love how there is just a plethora of derogatory terms specifically for women, but incels still had to rub their greasy little noggins together to come up with a spicy new slur. But don't worry, ladies, I'll protect you. I guess when it comes down to it, I'm just shocked that men disagree so strongly with women's answer to the bear versus man hypothetical, because from my perspective, men are constantly announcing to the world how dangerous they are. Last time I checked, women haven't been the ones to dominate directors' chairs in Hollywood, yet the media I've been fed my whole life has been full of dads with shotguns, repressed nerds committing crimes under the guise of harmless pranks, and suave protagonists forcing themselves on young girls. I thought we were all on the same page here. Try this fun social experiment. Tell a man in your life that you think Game of Thrones would have been better without the graphic violence. Watch him combust, insisting that the historical integrity of the show about dragons would be destroyed if he wasn't allowed to watch conventionally attractive actresses stripped and acts of brutality simulated on them from the comfort of his living room. As someone who's been playing video games since these were still popular, I've always been painfully aware of how men will do anything they can to make women feel unsafe in a space they feel belongs to them. It's a well-documented phenomenon that women who dare to impede on this territory are constantly subjected to dehumanizing threats.
Oh, be honest with me. Do you know what feels like?
No, I don't actually.
Well, do you want to know?
Are you saying you're gonna me?
It's not if I like it.
And if you think this type of messaging is exclusive to entertainment, check out this video that recently resurfaced of what was proudly preached in a North Carolina church last summer.
You'll find more women going to have shorts on than you will with pants and dresses put together. I used to say this. Now, I haven't said this in a long time. You ready? I said, if you dress like that and you get raped, and I'm on the jury, he's going to go free. You don't like, do you? I'm right, though. Because, you know, a man's a man.
Well, that guy's going to hell. That was Bobby Leonard, and the fact that he was allowed to state from that pulpit what I can only describe as a confession without being dragged out the front doors by his starched collar is a condemnation on that entire congregation. So gentlemen, I guess it's our bad. Our bad for believing you are what you say you are and believing you'll do what you say you'll do. But you're going to have to choose. Either A, men are mindless creatures incapable of controlling their urges so they cannot be blamed for acting on them, or B, men are complex, rational human beings who must take responsibility for their actions. You cannot have both. We are all constantly bombarded with news of the terrible things that men do to women. Our society is obsessed with it, fetishizes it, yet women are expected to turn a blind eye? That is until, of course, something happens to you. Then you're interrogated, shamed for not knowing better, not taking the proper precautions. It's a classic catch-22. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think the way we talk about gendered violence is completely wrong. We approach the issue as if the male population is neatly divided into good guys and bad guys, but that's not an accurate reflection of human behavior or society at all, is it? If we limit our perspective to isolated incidents, to bad apples, it allows men who don't participate in the most heinous crimes to get defensive, say, "Not I," and stop listening. But it isn't just men who don't attack women and men who do. It's men who don't attack women and men who don't see the harm in a little locker room talk at the office once in a while. I mean, come on, it's just how men are. It's men who have that one friend in their friend group who they know harasses women, but that's just Todd. You don't get it. That's just how Todd is. It's men who keep demanding a woman's phone number over and over and over again, even though she's already told him she's not interested. You see, if we view male violence as an integrated system where the action and inaction of the good guys fuels and shields the worst offenders, then that's something that every single man can participate in dismantling by calling out bad behavior, supporting victims, and leading by example. But if you're a man that just feels angry and personally attacked by the bear versus man hypothetical, instead of seeing it as an opportunity to be the type of man a woman would feel safe alone in a forest with, then you're probably not the good guy you think you are. Well, guys, this has been fun, and also excruciatingly hot, but I have to go back to the forest now. Goodbye!